My husband and mother-in-law forced me to give birth to my sister-in-law. After giving birth to my daughter, they killed me and the child to sell their organs. Leslie Hummer, my husband's sister, lies to me about being unable to conceive. She wants me to help her produce a child. To my shock and horror, my husband and mother-in-law agree with her. I refuse to give in, so they drug me and force me into bed with her husband. When the pregnancy comes to term, I give birth to a daughter. My husband and his family go nuts because it's not a boy. They kill the baby before my very eyes. They even take away all my organs that can be exchanged for money. Then they continue searching for a surrogate for Leslie. When I open my eyes again, I am back to the day. Leslie kneeled before me to beg me. Janice, please, I am begging you. Please bear a child for me. Drake said that he'll divorce me if I don't give him a son. But you know that I've been diagnosed with infertility. If you don't help me, then no one else will. Leslie Hummer, my sister-in-law, was kneeling on the ground as she tugged on my hands and begged with tears in her eyes. Janice, just help your sister-in-law out. She's been so nice to you. So this is the least you could do for her. You can't watch her being abandoned by her husband like that. If you'll help her give birth to a child, I'll even serve you for the rest of my life. Willow Barkins, my mother-in-law, chimed in as she walked toward me with a pleading expression on her face. Jan, even my mom's asking you for this favor. Can't you help my little sister out? Gary Hummer, my husband, said. Also, it's not like giving birth is a huge deal anyway. Women are meant to give birth. That's why they exist. I couldn't believe that my own husband would say that to me. Leslie's husband, Drake Faker, was rich and fairly powerful. Everyone in the family treated him as some sort of A-team machine since he brought in so much money. Of course they would want to please him in any way they could. I just stared at them coldly and thought that it was hilariously ridiculous, yet saddening at the same time. Leslie had not been diagnosed with infertility. She was simply scared of pain and didn't want to go through the pain of childbirth. That was the only reason why she schemed with Willow and Gary to trick me. In my last life, I had firmly rejected the idea of it, but they drugged me and made me do it anyway. First, they drugged me until I was unconscious, then delivered me to Drake's room where he violated me. I got pregnant after that and fell into severe depression because of my emotional instability. I tried killing myself on multiple occasions so that the pain would end. When they found out, the three of them tied me to the bed and forced me to eat, sleep, and evacuate in the same bed where I was trapped. I felt like a lifeless puppet being manhandled by them on a daily basis, letting them do whatever they wanted to my body. This persisted for 10 months, until I finally gave birth to a baby girl. I thought that the torture would finally end, but as it turned out, it was just the start of an even worse nightmare. I had given birth to a daughter instead of a son, and Drake, who had always favored boys over girls, flung my baby on the ground to its death right under my eyes. You stupid woman, you can't even give birth to the right baby. What's the point of having you around? Gary then grabbed me by the neck and yelled all sorts of insults in my face. He then gave me a woman who had just gone through hours of labor to give birth, a good beating until I was bruised and bloodied all over. I was so badly beaten up that my uterus began to bleed heavily, completely rendering me infertile. Meanwhile, Willow also turned her nose up at me and rolled her eyes. That's 10 months worth of food and care gone down the drain for me. You are such a useless trash. I demand my money back. You are going to pay. So, under Willow's orders, Gary and Drake killed me by strangling me to death. Then they harvested my organs and sold them off in the black market for a handsome amount of money. Ah, Janice, it's such a pity that your body just doesn't know any better. How could you let yourself give birth to a useless brat that was never going to satisfy us anyway? Leslie then kicked what was left of my lifeless body to the side and continued looking for surrogate mothers with the money they earned from my organs. Back in the present, I inhaled deeply and looked at Leslie still kneeling on the ground with tears streaming down her ugly face. Then I laughed coldly. You say that women were meant to give birth anyway? If you say so, then why don't you get your mom to be the surrogate instead? Wouldn't that be wonderful? The baby could be your brother or your son. It'd be a 2-for-1 deal. Wouldn't that just be such a wonderful addition to the family?